Your wet season is really from March to May, but quite frankly, I'm seeing it beyond into June, and some activity into as late as mid-July. And these are monsoons, and I am seeing heavy flooding, and flooding in here and here, or lakes overflowing as well, flooding here. These are depressions, valleys, things like that are overflowing, but I'm afraid the intensity is that you're seeing a system that comes here and it's really affecting most of Australia here. And that is the monsoons. It's really coming in, the worst ones are coming in by late February, 26th, 27th, right through, as I said, to June. But quite frankly, the big ones, you're going to get about 5 bad systems. And one, February. Then at the end of February, right at the end, the last few days into the 1st or 2nd of March. Then there's another one about the 7th, 8th of March. And then another one until the 27th. And there are little storms in between all of this, but these are the major ones. Then June 1st through the 7th, there's a really bad one, and that is what I'm really concerned about. A lot of people are underwater. Flooding seems to be about, at times in the areas, 10 to 15 feet. Flash flooding. And then July, I am seeing one more, and that's about the 15th. It's not as bad as all the others, but there are quite a few coming in. So please be prepared for that. I know, sadly, most of these areas, they've been hit before and they're being hit again. So there are things you could do, even though you can do stilts and things like that, build homes on stilts. But quite frankly, it's going to only get worse. We are in a world change on weather, okay? And I'm so sorry. I really hope that I'm going to be wrong with all of my predictions, so none of these disasters come true. And but I still wish you all luck. I've got a soft spot, I don't know why, but for Australia and New Zealand and Papua New Guinea, all of that area, Singapore, Malaysia. But you please be careful, okay? Tasmania, I do see a flash flooding affecting you as well. Please, and that's at lower levels. There's flooding at low levels where it's coming into shore. So please be aware of that. New Zealand, it's like a cyclone coming in that you're being affected by. And even though it may be only a category 1, it's something that you, excuse me. So that could be a category 1 to probably a 2 cyclone, which you aren't getting usually that much, but it's coming in this way, but the mass is like this area. So New Zealand is getting affected. New Zealand, let's quickly go to, and then I am seeing that they're being affected with about 3 to 4 major monsoonal excuse me, monsoonal weather patterns and flooding. So please be careful. It's kind of unusual for them. They do get monsoons, obviously, but not as bad as these coming in, and it is only going to get worse because next year, I hate to say it, it's actually worse than this year. So you are going to see the difference in a raising, in a way, of the attitude of weather, put it that way. So I am sorry about all that bad news, but I'm going to go into the next video for lightning. As for your heat, yes, you're going to record records breaking. Sorry to say that. They're about 1 degree to 2 degrees in certain areas, and I know Australia gets really bad, just like we are here in Nevada, high heat. But this is what my concern is about the wildlife not getting enough water. I know there are some incredible people there, conservation groups that are trying to help everybody. So please, be careful and try and help those groups too with water for the koalas and kangaroos and all the other wildlife there. It's very unique wildlife, obviously. So basically, I'm a bit worried about that. Just the heat, be prepared for it, hydrate, all the usual things. And those are what also will start a few fires as well when it's a bit too hot. All right, please take care of your neighbors. Thank you. We're just going to quickly go over flooding, but it's really associated with cyclones, but I'm still going to go over it. Sri Lanka sees a huge monsoon season where it's actually extending another 2 to 5 weeks over the regular monsoons. So there are deluges and flash flooding in there. Same with India or any of this area here. It's going through Malaysia, it gets affected with it, all this Singapore, and it's really not, it's mostly around this area, that area. So you'll see that the monsoons are actually getting worse and flash flooding and things like that, okay? The weather, we're looking at the dry season being, I believe, in December through February. But quite frankly, I'm seeing fires set up here in this area, and that's lightning strikes. And I'm dropping in a video regarding lightning, and I've done it for all the other countries. And I want to warn you that, anyway, let me put this on a different section here regarding the lightning. It's too important to be included in here. Let's just go into the fires first here. The fires here I am seeing is in this area here, a really bad bushfire, I'm afraid, and I'm just really concerned about all the wildlife there, and it does spread north, okay? So I am concerned. There's quite a bit of action there, a lot of dry brush there, and that won't happen until about nearing February, to be honest, I'm seeing. And then here, there's one minor one in here, and just outside Perth, there's one, but they are concerned it would get to Perth, but it doesn't. Nothing really in Adelaide, but there is one here. There's fires in the Queensland area here, and that's a pretty big bushfire, and small little ones here in Sydney. Okay, and that's fires. Lightning is what I have been talking about since I think 2 years now, and I am dropping in a video for all of the countries to be aware of this. Now, lightning is going to be far more, it's affecting Australia, parts of Europe, but quite frankly, Australia, New Zealand, any of the really Asian countries, sorry, I don't mean to be making you dizzy here, even India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, all of that, but quite frankly, this whole area, plus America and parts of Canada. So basically, lightning is, as I said in that short video, I don't know if anybody listened to it, but basically it's going to be far more electric, where it's far more intense, and the strikes are far more rapid, far more dangerous, and it's a drier weather where it's more dangerous, where the lightning is coming into the dry season for Australia, since we're talking about Australia, but it's quite frankly in New Zealand, Tasmania, but it's dry season, and that's why we're finding the fires. But as I said, when I live in Nevada, which is pretty dry, and it doesn't have that much greenery, but basically in one day we had, and Las Vegas, had an unusual pattern of downfall, where we even got hit with what some were saying a F1 tornado, which is very, very unusual here, but it wasn't logged in, as I pulled, I don't know, about 25 to 30 trees, old trees up. So, but this is the type of storm system that's coming in. And our home, which is a pretty good one, weather station, recorded inside 24 hours as much as 1,925 lightning strikes in 24 hours, which, you know, getting one or two lightning strikes, and that's within 25-mile radius, by the way. And that's just in our area. I hate to know if I had it in Las Vegas, how many lightning strikes, because I won't tell you who, but close to the family. And he was, he's a young guy, and he was having had to hide, basically, because he was traveling around in the car, because the lightning strikes were just coming one after the other. And literally, ours was, I got it on video, behind, the street behind, one after the other, pow, pow, pow. So it's something that I want you all to be aware of, because you need to, I always believe in being proactive. I won't be doing these predictions if I didn't. That you have be at least near a car, even though I don't think it'll help as much as, but it'll be better than being outside near a tree or whatever, and being the highest point. So do you some homework, maybe equip your house with something, a lightning rod. I mean, not a lightning rod to attract, but, you know, grounding rod rather. Do the necessary, because you don't want to fire, okay? So I'm sorry to go on about that, but that is going to get worse every year. The atmosphere seems to be far more drier throughout the world, and in certain areas like Australia, certain portions of America, where, and to be honest, even the Sudan, anywhere, Saudi Arabia, all of those where the deserts are, they're going to see far more activity like that, okay? So anyway, hope that helps you on that one. All right, we covered autumn for you, and that was the rainy season, which is kind of monsoonal, but then we're going into your winter season, and I believe that ends in August, but quite frankly, it's going to go through into September. The seasons are shifting, so you're moving winter into September, that I'm seeing, and even the delay of the rainy season coming in far more, as I talked on the previous video. Okay, so be careful of that. Just quickly on your summer season, again, that's changing. Everything's moving forward about anything from 4 to 8 weeks, really, 6 weeks that you could be noticeable, but it's going into 8 weeks. Okay, just on that one. So we're doing Australia at the moment. Let me just bring in a bit. And we are going over terrorism on this section. And I'm afraid I'm seeing, well, it's not only going to be Australia, Papua New Guinea, and New Zealand too. So Australia, I am sadly seeing that we are seeing there's about 2 terrorist attacks in Perth, round about anything from end of May to coming into July, 1st or 2nd of July. So be careful there. And unreasonable attacks. These aren't massive attacks, but they're with an eye for prejudice, really, bigotry, things like that. terrorism. Then there's one in Melbourne it's like a car bomb kind of thing, but it's a bomb. That's what I'm seeing in Melbourne, and round about June in that one. So be careful. There are several other terrorist action groups here in Australia that the Australian government is trying to find and monitor. So I'm seeing as much as, well, it's not as much, but 17 major groups. There are lone wolves out there, but quite frankly, they're really been very underground. So they are all operating here, but they're mostly in this area, to be honest. And Brisbane and Sydney will get hit with about, Sydney around about 5 and Brisbane 2 or 3. So it depends on what you want to categorize as terrorist attacks, but I have explained in other videos, which I'll drop in here as well, that about terrorism. That's 2 types of terrorism. And anyway, Tasmania, nothing really. New Zealand, I see 1 attack, but it's really somebody who's mentally ill on that one. Papua New Guinea, really not that much, but there are minor little incidences, about 3 to 5, but they're minor compared to any of the others. Singapore, not that much. They're very strong police there. And Jakarta and Indonesia, there are quite a few riots going on, I'm afraid, against government or something going on with the government. So there's a lot of activity politically. With Australia too, to be honest, against who you have in power, the head of the parliament there. I think it's parliament there. So anyway, basically it's not looking very good there, okay? And in another video we'll talk about weather. Just quickly, I know that you have tornadoes, at least I see some, but they're really centered here. So it's like an F1 to sometimes an F3. So it's mostly concentrated in that area here. I don't know if it's true. You can let me know. And dust storms I'm really worried about because it seems to be prevailing far more there, getting more. I see about 3 dust storms coming in the dry season. So be careful, okay? But nothing, there's one maybe in Sydney or this area here, but that goes through and just, I know it's a dust storm, but quite frankly, it's a carryover from this area. And one here coming into this area here. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Please keep safe, okay? Blessings. Just quickly on earthquakes for Australia and New Zealand and this whole area. So basically, I am seeing that you're going to get minor ones. And there's this crest here that you are, and it's really to do with a fault line. Tasmania does get a bit of it, about a 2.1. They're odd little ones. But quite frankly, the highest just be about 4.5, round about here, that I see. but nothing anything significant as if you need anything else to worry about anyway, Australia. As for New Zealand, I don't know if anybody really follows me there, but quite frankly, I am getting a bit concerned. They are getting far more earthquakes that I see, and it's really, again, in this stretch where you're getting about a 6.8, maybe as much as a 7.5, could be a 7.8, but I hope not. So it's basically getting hit again all the time with earthquakes, and kind of at 10 miles down. Luckily, the 7.8 is pretty far down, but it's still going to have an impact. So please be careful, okay? Going to earthquakes quickly on Vanuatu or Solomon Islands, that's where there's a huge cluster of them all the time. May see a 8.1 at one, kind of not in Fiji, but round about that area, Vanuatu. So be careful. Papua New Guinea, same thing, but not as badly as any of the others. They're still getting earthquakes, I'm afraid. Okay? And then in Indonesia, obviously, we are seeing far more earthquakes around here. And they're going to anything from obviously the lower earthquakes, but upper end would be about a 7.1 to a 7.6 coming in into the Banda Sea and in that area. Japan, and I'll quickly go over there. Taiwan is really there you'll see a 6.5. It's kind of calmed down as much as it can be, but quite frankly, round about towards September through November, they're seeing far higher earthquakes, 6.5s, a 7.2, maybe a 7. I hate to say a 9, but it's in this just above Tokyo. So we'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. And I'm not covering China. They're going to be politically. I'll maybe talk about China another time. But India, I'm afraid, is there's a lot going on in India. There's a few government upheavals, but quite frankly, for the most part, I'm just more worried about the weather in India, Nepal, and Bhutan. I think there is a 6.5 in Kathmandu, round about there, and Pakistan, but there's no real. I don't see any kind of huge earthquake there, but it's in Afghanistan, in this area that's more on the active side of earthquakes. Okay, that's it. I'll talk to you later. Okay, on this one, it's really for everybody, and that is that quite a few months ago, somebody had asked about, oh, why are the young ones getting hit, and if I could put my life in front of theirs, I would, which is a lovely and beautiful sacrifice, but quite frankly, I'm seeing it a bit further than that, that this whole thing with the pandemic and with all the subsequent deaths and sadness going on, to fear is, I used to teach a class, I don't know if I'll start those again, but it's called Face Your Fears, and I just want to talk quickly about fear, and that is really, it's things that we only fear things that we can't control, and a lot of us are controllers. I'll confess I'm a controller, and we try and control our lives, and you'll find obviously in this circumstance that we haven't controlled our lives. We can't control it. You can't control those other people who being fixated with conspiracy theories just to try and avoid looking at issues in their own lives. And they strike out. And that's why racism, I hate to say it, is going to be rampant. And here in America, I'm afraid the previous administration has promoted that, sadly. And it is something that you have to be aware of. And when you're aware of, you won't do it. You won't get caught in that trap. But that's only one of the things, bigotry, racism. It's a hatred of other cultures, which is so stupid. You're only hating yourself because we're all at this in the same. We are all human. So please be far more mindful of it. I try and speak to when I'm doing readings and try and show people that they have the power to change things in their lives. But if you start concentrating just on yourself, not, in your own backyard, in your own house, the fear will be far more controllable. And you don't need to start fearing, oh, what if? Well, one of the exercises, which is very, very simplistically put here, is always realize the fear to the worst scenario. And the worst scenario is you die. Or actually a worse one than that is that you survive and you're a long hauler with this pandemic. But quite frankly, you still have to look at that fear. But always be proactive. That's why I was trying to push people last year and say, please do your trust. If you can do a trust in America, do it. Don't need to worry about it, because when people transition, in other words, they die, they're all in chaos on the other side because they didn't left things unfinished. Try and do a will at least. Try and, I've been even cleaning out myself, my things here. And we don't need all these things in our lives. But you will find out in the last 2 years, and I can't believe it's been 2 years, it's over 2 years, that people are seeing what really truly matters in their life and who really truly matters. And this is part of this huge transition we're going through anyway, which one day I'll get the book out. I'll be working on it hard this year. So basically, it's so important for you to step back, look at yourself, and if anybody's interested, let me know. I'll start putting little things for you to look, exercises, and maybe do some little videos, excerpts of the book that you could start working on yourself and start letting go of the fear. And you don't need to start worrying. I know there are people out there, by the way, who are so sadly in need of medical attention. Think of those countries where they don't have any medical attention because they can't afford it or they can't get to it because of where they are located. And we are so privileged in America, at least, and in certain other European countries, etc., that we don't realize, you're always looking over your neighbor's fence saying, oh, look, they're doing better than me. Just start concentrating on yourself. try find some happiness in your life, even if it means reading a book or talking with a friend or staying in touch with a loved one. And I know a lot of you don't even have that, family or friends. And it's just even putting on a happier movie or simple little things. And I'm sorry I'm on my soapbox here, but it's so crucial to start worrying about yourself before you think about other people. And because you have to be that strength. And this is really in answer to one of the comments from last year. And she's such a giving person, this person. But she has to realize that she has to really be strong for the whole family by taking care of herself. And that includes you, I'm talking to, who's listening to this. So please think of something better than a soapbox. There's so many suicides, and that's on the increase, which I'll put a note on. And it's from the ages I mentioned in the note in the video. It was actually a slide. And that is what I'm really concerned about. So please look for signs. You can't stop them. That's, as with my readings, I don't know how many I have been able to show them that suicide is not the answer. But I do know I did save quite a few, but it is ultimately their choice. And all they are is because they're lonely, all right? So you have a strength and power within yourself that you can affect people, reach out to people, connect with them. So that's what I'll leave you with, that this year make it about, not exactly nothing about yourself, but it's everything about yourself, to be honest. And then it works outwards. So you're the sun, and let the heat hit everybody else around your universe, okay? Well, blessings and love to all of you, and keep safe. Take care. Bye-bye. Hi, back again here, and we're on the Johns Hopkins University of Medicine website, and they give a pretty, hopefully an accurate one, far more comprehensive anyway. So I just wanted to, the last COVID update I did was a few months ago, and I did mention that I did see something of a drop over Christmas. So just to let you know, over here on the right, and I'll bring it over a bit here. Here over on the right, on the 25th, it did drop. But obviously because we were at home or whatever, but there was a slight drop here. Daily cases, daily deaths, and here it was daily administered, so I don't care about that one. So basically, I was right there. For some strange reason, maybe it's because everybody was at home and not going out. So that was that. Let's concentrate on, in America, I'm just going to move that over so you could see. US is claiming at 28-day total at 6 million. Again, 55.5 million total. United Kingdom at 2 million, coming into nearly 28, 2,800,000 coming in. Totals of 13 million, 13 and a half. France, and you can read that anyway. Italy, 28-day total is 1,218,000. We're going over certain countries here quickly, and I'll give you the projection, but quite frankly, the Omicron is, I'm still seeing it develop. I hope to God I am wrong, and that my predictions are inaccurate, and you could, call me whatever you like, but quite frankly, I'd rather be that way than dead on with this kind of discussion here and prediction. So basically, the total cases are 291 million, nearly 92, coming into 92 million across the world. So total deaths are at 5 million for 5.5. So it's just so sad that the 28-day cases load is coming up to 24 million. Now, Omicron obviously is moving faster than the others. I do see it, and please don't freak out at this, but round about March, and you won't see it until May, the Omicron seems to be not fluctuating, I would say it's like warping into a different mutation. The mutation actually is going to find that it's far more deadlier. There are going to be more deaths associated with the Omicron. By about February, I do see that they are going to find one vaccine that will help. Actually, in other words, they're adding to it, not taking away, but they're adding to it the existing vaccine to try and get it more applicable for the Omicron. The children I am a bit worried about from 14 under, even though some of them have had their dosage, their vaccines, which has helped, by the way. I don't hold with the conspiracy theory that, oh yeah, they're trying to program us and God knows what else was coming out here in America. I don't even want to address it, it's so ridiculous. But basically, you have to be aware that it is going to start changing by May. And it's kind of so close that it's could be associated with, oh, maybe this is a new mutation. And in a way, strictly speaking, it is a new mutation. It's a mutation of the Omicron, not the Delta. And the Delta seems to be more or less controlled, kind of 75%, and with 25% out there that are really still affecting people. And those are the ones who haven't had the vaccine. But again, it is also that you could get it, a breakthrough infection, as they call it. So just do what you need to do. I'm still wearing a mask and a K95 mask. If you can't get over the really high-end one, because obviously the nurses and doctors need that, and the people in the hospitals. So the K95s at least have 5 layers of it to help you with. So be careful. Also, there are certain countries that it's going to be far more devastating to, which we'll cover in a second. I do see other mutations coming in, developing this year, other than the one, and I still see it associated with Omicron. And that one, you'll see there is a surge in the current Omicron, and we'll go over quickly sections or continents. So we're looking at South in America here, and we'll do that. And I'm seeing the actual peak coming in to America, coming in round about actually middle April to end of May, where it's more or less caught up on itself, that where it could get not only trace, but quite frankly infect other people. So there's going to be actually 3 peaks. One peak coming in at the end of January, and that's really middle to end of January. So it's another week and a half. I'm actually filming this on on the 3rd of January. I'm really seeing ahead. January 3rd. So I am seeing in about a week and a half to 2 weeks, you'll see a spike, and that's really associated with quite naturally New Year's Eve and everybody getting together, and that's in America. Okay, I'm only talking about America at the moment. Then I'm seeing one in March, around about the 12th to the 15th. I'm seeing the real end peak, which is kind of a lesser peak, but the 28-day total coming down kind of about 50%, but it's still a peak coming in at around about the May 1st or 2nd. The end of the Omicron won't be, it'll be still kind of an ingredient in the soup, put it that way, until about November. So it's still going to be circulating around America, okay? We'll talk about the other variants later. Delta is still strong. and it's going to actually affect far more in this region here and in California, and definitely the New York Association, Florida as well, by the way. So those are where Delta and Omicron are going to be feasting, I hate to say it. Okay, so that's America. We're going to South America again. These are highly populated areas where there is high population, and sadly, in Haiti and everything else, trying to get vaccines to them, it's hard. So that's the sad bit about it. We're going Africa. Again, same thing, Omicron, but I'm just touching on the really sensitive areas, and I'm seeing Italy get really bad, I'm afraid. Their peak for Omicron is going to be actually around about, they're peaking at the end of, not peaking, about the 18th of January, and then they're peaking at March 12th, round about that area, with the third peak round about May 16th. It seems to be just going rapidly right through, and there are reported deaths by more in May, I'm afraid, with Omicron. Spain as well, France, all of these other countries in Europe, I'm seeing peaks in more or less the same area as Italy. So I'm just not going to touch that. London has a kind of an extra peak round about April, end of April, and one in June. Okay. Just moving over, just touching on the major countries here. India sees their peak with Omicron round about, let's see, it's really about end of January into February, and there's one in March 17th and one in April 22nd. Then there's a further peak with a new variant in August, okay? And that one goes through, and it's really, again, it's trying to find the vaccines and have it distributed. Same more or less with Sri Lanka, it's same thing. Singapore seems to be, even though they're trying to control it, I'm really not touching it too many. Australia, yes, there are, and you're pretty well controlled. New Zealand is exceptional, but Tasmania and everything, I do see there's a slight peak coming in about a week and a half to 2 weeks from now. That's January 18th, and round about March 22nd is another peak. You really go through Omicron round about the end of Omicron, well, I would say end, the downtrend for Omicron will be coming in round about August 17th, even though you really aren't anywhere near the level that we are at here in America. New Zealand, same thing. They're really pretty well controlled. They're right on top of things, which is really nice to see. So basically that's it. I'm going back again. Here we go. Oops, sorry. Russia, I'm sorry to tell you this, and this is what I'm seeing. Russia and China are not reporting the real caseload. So to be honest, that's not the truth of what they're reporting. And sorry, but that's what I'm seeing. Okay, I'm not even going into those two countries. Okay, so there is another variant, and it's coming in, as I said, being revealed around about May that they're finding it. But by June 15th, you'll see that it's kind of rearing its head. It's kind of on par with Omicron, but the symptoms are far more like a headache, intense headache, really weakness. It's kind of like the flu again, but an intense flu. There is on the younger people, I see that they're stomach issues and throwing up. So that's really it. And as one scientist said, that it's here to stay kind of thing. We're living with it. It won't be a pandemic, it'll be an epidemic, but it is there. But you really have to be wise. And I know, on a different matter completely, I did promise to do a video, and I am so sorry. I'm not being lazy. Maybe I am to some people, but quite frankly, a lot's been going on in my life. So I want to make sure that I will do the video to help you look at foods and spices, etc., that would help you increase your immune system, not your immunity, but so somewhat it will. But I will do that for you, but I'm not too sure when. I don't want to give you false promises at this stage because there's, as I said, a lot going on. But I will try my best because it's going to be a long cooking show. I am going to give you a good recipe made in 10-15 minutes. You can make a good hearty meal. A soup, actually, I created, but it's quite tasty if you like onions and garlic and all kinds of other spices in there. But basically, I'll try and put that out for you not too long from now, hopefully. Okay, so stay safe, hydrate. Obviously, I'm the right one to talk because I haven't been hydrating as much as I should. There's my confession. But basically, you need to look after yourselves and look after your friends. Be wise about it. Even if you think the mask doesn't help, wear a mask. I'm more concerned about you who are listening to this, and feedback of what is going on. I do check the comments section as much as I can, and I really truly wish you much blessings and health, and just go take one thing day at a time. On a different note, I will put another video in this section to everybody, but I'll put this on another section, okay? Anyway, take care, blessings. This is Darshini signing off.